Okay, guys, so today we'll be looking at this game of Mcmillen versus Shusaku. This was an interesting game that kind of swung back and forth. I think the real highlight of the game was this sequence here in the upper left. We had this white group that invaded and ended up being attacked very severely and kind of had to scramble to make two eyes. And I think at this point, black actually had a good chance to either kill white or at least do some serious damage. So what black maybe should have done was to take away white's eye here, leaving white with only one eye here in the middle. And even if white tries to live, it's going to be very hard for white to do so. So I think black has a good chance to either kill or at least chase white and get a lot of profit. But instead, after black blocked here, white got the chance to make a second eye. And at this point, the game was very good for white, but unfortunately, white made a couple slow moves later on that allowed black to catch up and ultimately win this game. So let's take a look at how this happened. So white played the Keima here in the lower left, which is totally fine. Nowadays, the style has more shifted towards these kosumis. And the reason is that it puts a little bit more pressure on the black stone if white gets this pincer here at c8. It's a little bit harder for black to settle by attaching at the 3-3. But this game is fine. So this high approach has also gone out of fashion a bit. It's still certainly playable, but the reason it's become a little less popular is because pro judgment has become that not this avalanche, but if white just plays the normal Hana here, the sequence we're all familiar with, black gets a lot of territory here. And so nowadays, if white ever approaches here, most people think black can just attach underneath here and be very happy with this territory here because white still has this invasion point. White instead chose to play the avalanche, but we have had a bit of a complication here. So normally, white will Hane this way, and this can be pretty complicated. There's a lot of possible sequences. The most common is probably something like this, which is certainly possible for both sides. In this case, I don't think it's great for white since black already has these two stones here, so it's not really clear how this thickness will help white in exchange for the territory that black already has. But once white Haned here, black played a very good move to extend, which is a very big corner, and so even after white connects, black has a very good result here. So black played this sort of wide pincer here, and I understand the thought of this is to prevent white from making a base, but I think the one issue is that it's just so open to this 3-3 invasion. And this invasion is very annoying because it makes this K17 stone very inefficient. So instead, although this move is possible, I would think about maybe this large enclosure here, which would do a little bit more to protect the corner, but still put some pressure on the white group. Not that. And it's actually sort of the same thing here with this R10 stone. This K17 one is a pincer, but this R17 one, or sorry, R10, has the same problem that it's really opening white up to this invasion that will make this stone inefficient. So instead, I would think about just some enclosure like that. Sorry. So normally here, black attaches, and this can help black make a base before expanding. So this is probably a little bit better for black than this game variation right here. So after this invasion, I was a little surprised to see black attach here at b7. This second line attachment is a bit of a defensive, almost emergency move. And in this case, I think it's a little bit premature. Instead, what if black just jumps out here? This puts more pressure on the white stone and doesn't sacrifice this stone at b7. So this might be a better way of handling the situation. And instead of this, I would recommend maybe this kick to solidify the territory in the corner and sort of use this c7 stone to get some profit here. So I think both players kind of missed a chance here to get some very big points. So instead of this c8 move, if I were black, I would probably take sente here, and there's a couple possible points, but the one that really jumps out at me is this Keima up here. Since black already has this pincer at k17, this came up, puts a lot of pressure on white, and it starts to build up this territory for black. So I think this is kind of a key move for both players. And so after black played here, instead of playing like this, white had a good chance to take the point for himself by just jumping out here and escaping and reducing this area. So I think this e13 or thereabout point is a real inflection point for both players that both people should be very eager to get. Same sort of thing with this kick here. It kind of seems like it's helping black more than it helps white in this situation, I would say. This attachment makes more sense because white is trying to make some life here, but I would still just jump out. That seems a little bit better to me. We don't want to make black strong if we don't have to. Some nice senti moves, and then white did very well to grab this 3-3 point at R17. This 3-3 invasion is just so big, and black, I think, chose the right direction, but after this Hane and connect, these stones are very overconcentrated. So this is kind of the problem with this K17 move from before, and I think white handled this well. White lost Sente here with this H2 move. It does leave a good follow-up later, this clamp, which is very powerful, but I would still recommend instead of this, playing this move I keep talking about at E13 or thereabouts. This block here is also very big, as we'll see later. It really locks down the corner, but this jump out here is probably more urgent. Sorry. So I think this is a bit of the wrong direction for white. I would prefer to jump out more over here to reduce this black area. But black, I think, instead of this sort of push, should just cut directly here. So this looks pretty good to me. If white tries to separate the black stones like this, black has a very good cutting stone here, and it's not clear how white is going to handle this situation after black probably pushes out this way. This cut is pretty severe, so I would think about this if I were black. And I think also here might be a little bit slow. I would probably play something in this area here too. And this is the right idea to build up this area, but I would probably just choose this direction. I mean, this white group is pretty weak, right, as we saw later. Once black gets this move, there aren't really any eyes here, except for, I guess, half an eye here at the bottom. So the group is really not that strong, especially because there's this cutting point here at, I guess, G15. So here I think there's a bit of a shape problem. I understand that white wanted to keep the connection, but white should just block this way. It's just stronger, and it leaves a very good way for white to jump out here at F11, which becomes very important later. And there's no problems here. There's no way for black to take away this eye. No matter what black tries, white is going to have an eye here. And even if black takes this one away up at the top, white can easily jump out, and this is a lot better for white than what actually happened in the game. So this was a sharp move of black's to take away white's eye space. And I think white is really in a lot of trouble here. It's very hard for white to escape. So after this, black chose to block here at E12, but this is actually black's first big chance to do some serious damage to white. So what if we just take away the eye right now? It might look a little bit like too early, like maybe white can escape here, but it's actually not so easy. Even if white tries to make an eye somewhere here, it's not possible, as we can see. And white's going to be forced to sort of come out this way, and this is going to turn into a very big dragon for white that only has this one eye here and doesn't even have certain life. Like maybe black can even try playing this way or something like that. And so black can really chase this group out. And this would be a great way where if black can get a lot of territory, or sorry, a lot of stones, like let's say around this area, maybe black will chase this white group and white will end up connecting down here. Then black will be able to use these sente stones to surround a lot of territory over here. So I think this would be a good way for black to profit from this weak white group. And over here, same thing, kind of like I was saying before, I would still just play here and let white try and scramble for that second eye. And this one, like I was talking about in the beginning, is really black's last chance to play here and take away white's eye. Black doesn't need to be so concerned about the couple of points that are around here. And even a move like this doesn't really help too much with the points because white can just push out. In terms of just getting the most points here, probably a move like this Kama is going to be the best. But I would still prefer to take the eye away at e18. So white made a good choice not to press his luck here, but just to make this second eye, just like this. This e19 move was a bit of an overplay. I'm guessing that black maybe thought that there would be some throw in here and that black could make a false eye. But as we can see, there's just no way to do it because white can just totally separate these black stones here. So there's no way. So black should, let me go back. Black can just block here in sente and let white live. And there's still some sente co-threats here, some very big co-threats. So white's ahead, probably by a little, but I think black still definitely has a chance, especially if black gets this c3 move. Yeah, this O10 move is very big for white. So I think, yeah, at this point, the game is definitely looking good for white. White had a nice lead here, but played a couple slow moves, as we'll see. And the real key points to look at are this attachment here at c3 and this clamp here at k2. And I think if white had gotten maybe one of them, then white could have won this game, but black played well to end up getting, I guess, both of these points. So this is the first move here at n10, where I would say white really should have played one of these other two ones. So this would be either just this simple block here to get a lot of territory in the corner, or this clamp here at k2 is very big because black has a big weakness here. So black probably needs to play this way and just let white in, but white can really destroy black's eye space, take away a lot of black's territory, and even start to build up some life and death pressure, especially if white gets this connection at q2 later. If black instead tries to resist with a move like this, it's actually going to be hard to do. So white can play here, threatening to cut at j3, so black has to connect, and white can just push up and separate black stones like this. And if black pulls back, white can just capture this black stone. So this would be a really big disaster for black. I'm not sure how black would handle this, because if black, for example, chooses to jump out here, maybe white could connect. And if black takes this white stone here, then white could extend and start chasing this black group in order to really erase the center area. But after this move, white had one more chance. And black, instead of playing here, really should have taken one of these moves for himself. For example, like what about this move here? So we saw this a little bit later, but it's a good chance just to do it right now, I think. This jump here at m12 isn't so big. But after this one, black played a very good move to steal this spot at c3 and get a lot of points in sente. And so I think at this point, black has a pretty nice lead, and there aren't really going to be any chances for white to catch up. So it just shows that even after a successful invasion and getting life here, a couple of slow moves can really cost you the game. So there was one more thing that I wanted to look at near the end of the game. We had a life and death situation in the upper right that did not have to happen. So after this Hane, here at T14, this block here might look very natural, but as we saw, there's actually a life and death problem here. So white just needs to fall back and play on this vital point here. Then there's no problem. There's nothing black can do. Even after this, white clearly has a living shape here. So that would have been fine. So after this, black played a very sharp move here at t17. This is the vital point of the shape. But white actually still shouldn't die. There should be a ko. So this move is good. But right here, instead of this connection, which creates bent 4 in the corner, as we saw, white needs to throw in here. So this will create a ko, which at least will give white a chance to live. So this is going to be white's best bet, and there's also these two still open liberties here. But after white plays here, black can just simply extend, and now this shape is definitely dead. Depends on the rule set you're using, but under most rule sets, this bent 4 in the corner is considered automatically dead. And that's because, let me go here. Let me go back here. Once black plays here, white can capture. And it looks like there's going to be a ko, but black won't actually play this until black has removed all ko threats. And if you're playing under a rule set where those would cost you points, like Japanese rules, and I think on KGS as well, OGS, then the shape is just considered automatically dead. So this is a good example of how life and death practice is just so important, because the game really could have hinged on this, and it would have been so frustrating to lose that way. So I hope this review was helpful. Just to highlight, I think the most important part was how both sides handled the invasion of this white group in the upper left, and black missed some chances that let white make 2 eyes, but then a couple slow moves let black catch up after that. So I hope this was helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions about this.